Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Manifest, Season 4, Episode 6. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So this episode is really kind of, obviously, in the aftermath of everything last episode. Ben's trying everything he can to pull his family back together, but considering everything, like, he feels like it'll be so easy, and he thinks, like, right, Eden's back, and we'll be able to kind of piece it together, but it's like, even then, it's like, he's not noticing what's going around him, because he is so focused on trying to get Eden back, because she sees him as a villain, she sees him as the bad guy, and she will only see Angelina as her mom, and it's like, because that's all she's known for the past 2 years, and it's like, Angelina doesn't even realize, like, the irreparable damage that she's done to this family. It's like, it wasn't bad enough that you killed her mom, and in Ben's case, you killed my wife. You also took a member of our family and brainwashed her into believing she was your child, And now there's no getting that time back. She probably wasn't old enough to remember her mom. So you've taken that away from her in so many regards and kind of, erased Grace from her, and now erasing Ben from her. So it's hard to say how she feels about, because she sees Ben as a bad guy because that's what Angelina said. Cal and Olive, she's fine around, but it's because she specifically painted Ben as the really, really bad guy. So if she hadn't done that last episode, then things wouldn't be as bad as they are, but nevertheless. Which Angelina, having nowhere to go, ended up going to her mom's place, which I love. Adrian was pissed. It's like, she wouldn't even let me go with her. It's like, I guess because for her, it's like, right, you still, like, left me out in the cold. You're going to throw me to the wolves, like last episode, so no. But I'm surprised her mom took her back with open arms, but I guess it's like, regardless of it all, it's like, you are my baby girl, and I did think you were dead, because no one was sure if Angelina was alive or dead after the explosion, so her mom took her back, and Adrian's the only one that knew where she was. Idiotically, he told Egan, I'm like, you shouldn't have done. He's like, yeah, eventually someone's going to find her, she's going to slip up, and someone's going to get that reward. It's like, first and foremost, she should never told Egan where she was. Two, why would you tell the most greedy bastard ever, like, where she is, and that also that there's a reward for her? It's like, that was the stupidest mistake for you, Adrian. But maybe it's just because, hey, you were so angry and just so pissed and upset with her, because in the end, and also, like, why would you even talk to Egan? The man continues to, I'm gonna say it, fuck over literally everyone he can. It's like, if he hadn't done what he did, it's like, but also if he hadn't done what he did, Ben wouldn't have gotten back Eden. I mean, it might have taken longer and would have been a different way. But Adrian, everything he was building up, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to look after the passengers. That's why I looked after Angelina. And Egan's like, hey, I'm a passenger. It's like, dude, you selfish prick. But also, let's not get it twisted. Like, Adrian continues to make mistakes, and how he's handled this is just kind of, I don't know, man. Like, every time he tries to do the right thing, he goes about it the wrong way. Because, for one, I don't know why you let Egan, out of anyone, get into your head last episode. You shouldn't have, not last episode, but the episode before, like, that was, when Egan was like, oh, you shouldn't tell them, because that's going to be an issue. It's like, you should have just done the right thing when you had the opportunity. Anna's excuse was like, oh, like, I was told that you and your wife were terrible people. And it's like, yeah, like, at least she had a justifiable explanation. What is yours, Adrian? I get it. It's also, hey, I'm trying to protect the others, and maybe I get thrown in the middle of all the, so it's self-preservation, but it's also like, yeah, he's justifying because he is trying to take care of the other passengers. But once again, that blew up in his face because he's juggling all these lies and keeping secrets. Either way, Egan went to, Angelina's mom and basically wanted, hey, if I'm not going to get that reward, I want you to basically pay me. But she's like, my husband has access to the accounts. He won't be back for like a week or something, or weeks. And he's like, I'm going to need that now. It's like, God, you're trying to blackmail someone. You could at least wait. But it's like, no, I'm going to get my mine. He gets to watch. And he's like, oh, also, can you drive me into town, drive me somewhere? It's like, Jesus. Oh, and then at the end of the episode, what does he do? He's selling out Angelina anyway. So it's like, man, that bastard has no loyalty to anyone but himself. If he sees an opportunity to benefit himself, he's going to take it. He's done that time and time again. He's paraded around like he cares, but he doesn't. Like, as long as he only cared because it also, like, all this other passenger stuff affected him. That's the only reason why he actually cared. Oh, because let's not forget about all the shitty things he did last season. Not even just the Vance stuff, how he handled the whole Ben thing, turning everyone against. Oh, you suck so much, Egan. Once again, the character, not the actor, who's doing a really good job of playing this like very despisable character. I always have to like differentiate that when you kind of go in on a character. I made a whole point about it previously. Either way. So all the while that's happening, Michaela follows Calling, which she actually got a little help from Ben in this case, because I think for her, like, almost seeing him, like, kind of almost get better, where he's like, for Aquarium, there was one person, like, even though it's been so long, he remembers off the top, oh yeah, like, Sam worked at an aquarium, here's Sam, here's an address. It was almost like Ben was back in the flow of things again, but he's like, no, you're the head of this lifeboat, you got it. And so Michaela ends up going to check on Sam. Sadly, he was murdered. There was that, the Xers mark in his hand, but it's like, cool, was it actually an Xer, or was it just meant to like mislead them? So her and Jared are working this together. Jared's got his own complicated situation because in the aftermath of that facility blowing up, Erica got catching a couple bullets in her body, and it was his weapon. It's like he wants to turn the bullets in. Vance is telling him not to, but for Jared, it's like, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not going to let, like, wherever the chips fall, like, I'm going to let that play out, because he's like, my moral compass is trying to tell me to do the right thing. Your moral compass, I don't know what it is, but it's like, Vance has always had a good moral compass. Yeah, he's done some shady stuff. It's like, yeah, covering up the Major's murder and stuff like that. That's the main thing Jared's holding against him. But it's like, yes, Zombie didn't mean to do that. This is the woman that was coming after her and everyone she cared about, all these passengers, and she was trying to weaponize them. So it's like Zombie did what she felt like she had to. It's like, yeah, it sucks that the Major was someone like mom, and she, but it's like she was also up to some like supervillain shit, so it's not like she was like an innocent person, and obviously Zombie was like riddled with guilt over that, So obviously Jarrett's not too keen on any ideas that Vance might have about like, making the bullets disappear. So, Jarrett's like, I'm going to see this through while he's also working the investigation with Michaela and Drea. Because it turns out Sam is divorced from his wife. They've been divorced for about 6 months. Apparently he was kind of taking money out of their accounts. I think she was saying like, he was helping people. But because we ended up finding out that basically he was paying somebody on the registry. And I don't know if it was a situation of... I don't know if it's his situation of he was using it because it was like, right, she said he would just basically, he got so focused on helping people, he must have been trying to follow the callings, or maybe he was given this opportunity, so he was trying to be the best person he could, but he kind of got so wrapped up in it, his outside life kind of fell apart, which Michaela's like, no, I get it, because she saw Ben do the exact same thing, and she's seen what the callings and this life and being a passenger, what it's done, and kind of what kind of effect it's had on her personal life, obviously, standing right beside her ex-fiancé and everything. But either way, it seems like someone in the registry is responsible for like taking money from him, like $2,000, like every, was it like second of every second of the months. And what's interesting too is because Jared and this guy actually have history. Jared actually like knocked out a fellow cop because the guy was acting like a complete tool, because it's like, you're a passenger, you're a freak. There was already all that hysteria about the passengers, especially at the height of like the registry stuff, and that Jared like stuck up for the guy, And the guy he knocked out is the guy he ran into at the crime scene. So it's like, yeah, but this guy the victim ended up being the guy he helped that day. So it is serendipitous how it all kind of comes together. Once again, and obviously because his connection to the passengers in more ways than one, and him being who he is, that kind of pulling him back in the fold, especially working with Michaela. I thought it was interesting because I thought like, the person he was paying off was going to be that guy, but I don't think he's a registry cop. I don't think he works at the registry. I think he's just a cop or whatever. Either way, I thought it was surprising when they introduced the person behind all this is the captain. I thought that was interesting, but his justification, hey, I've got wife, kids, yada, yada. I've been working this job for like 28 years. Anything I could get on the side, I should. But he also admitted he wasn't the only one getting something from the collection. So it's like, man, that trickled down, huh? Like everyone's like, hey, like we might as well make a little money off these freaks or something like that, I'm sure. And the captain wants to present himself like he's like a decent enough person. I mean, he seemed like a good enough person, but I was like, nah, he's kind of a slimy person. Obviously, even Jarrett kind of early on was like, when Drea and him were talking and, it's like, oh, wait, what? I didn't kill him. It's like, why kill the golden goose? That is the perfect thing. It's like, yeah, the guy was paying me 2,000 like every month. Why would I kill him? You know, so there was no issues between us. So that still leaves there being a killer out there. Now it begs the question, who is it? I mean, we've kind of been down this route before because there was a passenger died, like, God, what was her name? Was her name Kim? She died, like, obviously, like, super early in the show. She was, like, a couple of episodes in the season and she got murdered. So, we're kind of back, because I don't know if any, like, straight up, like, murders have happened since then when it comes to 828ers. Maybe I'm just not remembering correctly. Either way, now we're seeing it's kind of happening again, which is kind of sad. Jumping ahead a little bit, it turns out it's happening to Anna, which is so sad because she ended up coming to Ben and helping him, and she's even like, "Wow, I can't believe you have the grace in you to like forgive me for everything." He's like, "Yeah, there was a woman in my life, obviously representing Grace, like who kind of like brought that out of me." And even Anna's final words being like, "Yeah, I hate what 828 did to us." I can only assume she knew what was coming because she went to the door. She had this look on her face almost like she knew what was happening. But I think she was surprised to see whoever it was on the other side. Or, I mean, well, it could just be the straight up thing of like getting stabbed will kind of put a surprise on your face. But it almost seemed like she had like accepted it. She must have gotten a call and being like, right, this is my judgment. This is meant to happen. Which is even sadder considering like, right, they know about their own deaths. They just can't do anything about it. Well, because she already knew, like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to die now. And just because, once again, the divine conscience is downloaded in their brains. It's there in their memories. They just don't have access to it, which we'll talk about that conversation later on about some more developments about that. But yes, it kind of sucks on that department. A little bit about Jarrett this episode, too. Like, after he kind of got let go as a lieutenant and stuff like that, he ended up talking to his dad, and he's like, right, he tried to do his best, and it had been a couple weeks, so he hadn't told his dad yet, because he's like, I know how important me being a detective, how being a lieutenant was so important to you, and he was like, I tried to do the right thing, but, and his dad was like, have we ever heard, Jarrett speak Spanish? I don't think we've ever met his family before, have we? I mean, I don't think, like, they've never really leaned into that aspect of Jarrett's character. Not that I can remember off the top of my head. Maybe they have. It's just I don't think that's ever come up until this episode. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Especially like when he was talking to his dad, like he was bouncing between Spanish and English. I don't know, because I think that just like naturally happens when you like speak multiple languages. You're going to probably like do it like in a little Spanglish or just kind of like bounce between the multiple languages. I if I was more articulate and if I knew other languages, I think that'd be the coolest thing ever. Either way, tangent aside, his dad was kind of like, right, like, oh, you've lost it. Yes, you've lost a lot. A lot has been taken from you, but my respect, no. He's like, I've never been more proud of you, son. And I thought I thought that's beautiful. I love, no, it's like, right. And it's like, Jared's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a good guy. Yeah, there's been some issues here and there, but it's like, overall, he's a decent dude. And it's like, right, you have a good foundation at home that helped forge you into the man that you are, having a dad like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, Jarrett was, going to take the fall when the bullets came back and everything. But the problem is, not the problem. The solution is Vance and them already got to it. He's like, all right, so who's going to take the fall? And Vance is like, no one. It's registered to a gun that hasn't even been manufactured yet, so no one's taking the fall. He's like, see, the thing is about a moral compass. He's like, it takes you, where you want to go and where it's pointing you towards. That gray area is that's what your moral compass actually. He was like, it's that gray area that exists. We're both heading in the same direction, Jared, roughly speaking. So it's like, right, I think Vance has kind of learned from his mistakes, and it's like, right, I know you want to try and do the right thing. There's ways around this. We don't have to like screw anyone over. We'll just leave Erica's case as a case that just gets colder and colder over time because you'll never find who's associated with it. Michaela sadly got grabbed by her boss when she was like, well, not the boss, but whoever she was talking to, the lady at the register, being like, oh, like, because she noticed that Michaela had a calling and it was a giant bloody X, and I'm assuming that had to relate to Anna. Anna probably ended up getting the same calling, knowing what was happening, and that's why I'm saying she looked so calm, because she knew what was happening. So, and now Michaela's being hooked up to, I can only assume it's a lie detector machine, so they're going to pump her for information about everything, which will probably also call into question a lot of the narrative and story about that all the other passengers came up with from the events of last episode. So that's probably going to be an issue, along with any other time she's lied about having a calling and stuff. So then there's the Zeke side of things. Obviously, he's been, once again, taking in too much emotion for him to handle, and he decided to try and go to work because it's continued to be a struggle for him, and he wants to help people out, but it's too much. Like, now you can't just absorb that without ramifications anymore. Like I said, who knows how much of that is still bottled up in him. Like, he's like, every time he grabs someone's emotions, he's probably still holding on to it. So everyone he's ever helped is probably still there. And that's why anytime he's using his power now, it bubbles to the surface because he's about to explode from everything he's holding on the inside. It hasn't let go yet, you know, and he probably can't let go until he lets go. But if he lets go, like, maybe he can't actually let it go until he gives it back to each person. So, like, for example, we know he took a lot of Olive's pain. So he would probably have to give that back to Olive, give it back to everyone he's taken something from. Or, like, I don't know if he kind of released it, would it automatically go back to every person? Like, I don't know how that would work in Zeke's case. Like I said, it does seem like he's holding on to it. He's kind of drowning in it, in fact. To the point he's kind of in trouble at work because he flew off the handle on one of his clients. And then there's also the situation of, like, he was in so much pain that he ends up at a bar and it's like now he's relapsing, you know. Any vice ended that because I think drugs were his thing, but drinking isn't going to make it any better because that could be a slippery slope for an addict. So I think this is going to be a very, very sad situation to see Zeke in. So there's that element to it. And on the other side of things, there's Ben doing everything he can to try and reach out to Edith. But, I mean, I keep saying Edith. Eden. I keep doing that. I slip into Edith too much. I want to say Edith instead of saying Eden. To reach out to Eden, he wants to, but she sees him as a bad guy, even in her drawings. So he's clipping his beard, trying to shave it down. Even got Olive's help. And, you know, he's like, I see your mom in you, because for him, it's like, anytime I ever had a beard, your mom would be there to kind of help me. So I think it's kind of beautiful having Olive help him. And he's like, yeah, make sure you don't slit my throat, though. And obviously Cal's frustrated with, like, it's like, right, he wishes it's like, now we have answers to it, but we still don't have all the answers of what's to come. And because he had a calling while, like, inside of the building, and he just doesn't know how to fully make headway of everything that's going on. And then they kind of throw a snafu in it. It's like, well, everyone that was in the glow having, you know, in the divine consciousness, it makes sense why they had the memories. Well, how do you explain it to Olive? I mean, to explain it about Eden, because Eden wasn't in the glow. So, like, how is it that she's getting callings and stuff? And then Olive noticed, like, the earrings that she had, and it turns out they're sapphire earrings. Olive bringing it back that, like, right, Sapphire's kind of been at the centerfold of all this. She's actually, I don't know if she's actually talking to TJ or just kind of left him a message. I'm assuming just left him a message, but maybe she could have been talking to him too. But, because spoilers, I do know, I think I vaguely remember from the trailer, he does pop up, and then, like, they made sure to show a recap with TJ in it, just to kind of remind you, but I think also, like, he is going to be in this season, so, probably, I think, specifically in this part of the season, we'll see. But the Sapphire has always, looking through history, it's always been there. It's like, oh, like, when the 10 Commandments came down, was that Moses who got the 10 Commandments? Because Moses parted the Red Sea, but did he also get the 10 Commandments? I actually don't remember. I think he did. I think he did both, right? Once again, I'm not the religious person, so a lot of that Bible stuff goes over my head. I remember some stuff here and there. I do apologize. Either way, the 10 Commandments were, like, given while someone was on a sapphire stone, and another person brought about their visions with sapphires. It's like, cool, if we can get a large enough, like, if we could get you all to touch, like, sapphire, a large amount of sapphire, it would make it so that your callings would be limitless, you know? So, I mean, I guess it's because sapphire helps touch the divine consciousness, and Ben was already touched by the divine consciousness, hence why it kind of passes to her. And yes, the that's how it works in the first place. But it's like, how does she have memories about something? Well, she's tapping into the divine consciousness because of the earrings that Angelina gave her, which I didn't even think about the fact that's like, oh, they pierced her ears. And it's like, yeah. And even almost being like, yeah, mom would never want that. You even have Cal still like coughing up and being in pretty bad condition, but it's not easing up. Like I said, I think things are bad and he's not letting anyone know because everyone's got too much to worry about right now. So when it's all said and done, Angelina tried to reach out to Ben. Ben was like, no. And she reached out to Cal, and Cal's like, all right, on one condition, tell her that my dad loves her, that he's not the bad person you think he is. And it's just like, I'll let you talk to, because she does, sadly, the effed up thing is she does know enough about, Eden because she spent that time with her. It's like, right, I know she doesn't like bubble baths, like cinnamon milk. Like, it's like she knows all these little things, which is so annoying because it's like they would know those things too. Those are byproducts of you having, so it's frustrating. And there's a part of you that's like, it's kind of sad. There's like that small percent of you kind of like, you feel like how, because it shows like, it isn't just like, oh, she has this connection with Eden and isn't just delusional. She's actually grown to love her over these past 2 years because she has taken care of her. Yeah, she's had her ulterior motives. Yeah, she's gone a little crazy with the whole trying to force that connection, being like, right, draw the same thing as me and flying off the handle a couple episodes back. Sure. But she does legitimately love Eden because she's trying to fill a void in her own life, whether it's just everything with her parents, kind of not having anyone like Pete. They were gonna beat the death date and everything. They were gonna plan things out, have their future, but that didn't work out. So she filled that void with Eden. That was already kind of an issue to begin with. So, but sadly, Ben caught Cal doing that, and he's like, how could you do that? I thought you would. He's like, I am, Dad. I'm just trying to help. It's like, that's not helping. He's like, I don't know what your connection is with Angelina. He's like, I don't understand. He's like, there is no. He's like, no, obviously there is one. And for Cal, it's like, right, all I've done is spent the last 2 years wanting you to love me, Dad. He's like, that Cal, like, this is all about focusing on eating. And he was just kind of like, because he's like, right, you should be bringing that here right now. He was so blinded for 2 years, he didn't give Olive or, once again, he was so focused on Eden and didn't pay attention to the two children, that one of your children was suffering with everything that had going on, like life had thrown him a curveball and you weren't there to help him. Same thing for Olive, like so much was on her plate and you threw so much on Michaela's plate, making her take over the lifeboat and kind of like piloting it now, because that was the big thing for, because I couldn't remember what it was exactly that he saw, but he saw that they still end up dying, that the lifeboat is sinking. That's what Cal saw in his vision, that they, even with all the callings, it's not enough to save the lifeboat. But that's because of the rate that they're getting the callings, and it's just the good isn't going to outweigh the shitstorm of stuff on their way, right? That's why Olive is like, get enough Sapphire, you have access to all your memories, be able to do all that you need to do to get to the end point, which is making sure that the lifeboat doesn't sink. So that's that whole thing. But it is just sad that like Ben is pushing his son away because like blaming Cal, because Cal already kind of got past that with Olive, and now having Ben throw it in his face like, oh, you have some kind of connection with Angelina, and he's like, no, I don't. It's like, he's like, I made a mistake as a kid because of the callings and stuff like that. And now I thought we were past this, and now you're throwing it in my face. Like, me and Olive found our way forward, and now you're throwing this in my face. It's almost like you're blaming me for Mom and everything all over again, reminding me it's my fault. Like he still doesn't have enough guilt over it already, And so Cal was going to leave, but sadly passes out in the front yard, and that's where Zeke ends up stumbling across him. So I'm assuming Sanvi's probably going to get some test results back. Well, this is probably going to push her to test his stuff like faster, because she put it in like a fridge in like last episode. So it is probably going to happen like this upcoming episode of her testing it to expedite things to find out what's going on with Cal. Like I said, I think it was leukemia, but I might be mistaken. But whatever it is that he had before, I do believe it's back now. So I think Cal's dying again, so we'll ultimately have to wait and see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye. Bye.